Hey guys, how are you? Coveting inside. Today I have Natalie Levy with me. Hey Natalie.
Hey there, Dina.
And actually, Natalie and I worked together. She really helped me a few years ago as a coach to get clarity and motivation with my business. So that's just to show you that having someone on your side of the ring is totally okay and it's beneficial, and professional people do it as well because you can't do everything yourself. You don't have the right perspective to look at yourself. You need someone from the outside to bounce idea and tell you, no, this is not the right way, or ask you, but why do you do that? And since then, Natalie and I been working on some stuff together, and in a very good connection. And you're more of a personal coach, with expertise in social media and promoting people's businesses and personal brands, right?
Yeah, so the way that I describe myself, I am a coach for now predominantly women who want to launch passion projects or businesses in service of other people. My focus, just to your point, is very much on branding and community building, because that's of utmost importance to me, and storytelling. And so those are all very much, they all coincide. And I'm also the founder of Babes Do Brunch Club, which is an event series for women in the pursuit of a healthy lifestyle and big dreams. And my mission throughout all of my endeavors really is to uplift, inspire, and empower people really in general, but my focus is on women, to just live their most actualized lives and reach their full potential.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I always want to brunch with your babes, but I can't. I can't.
I've heard so many men say the same thing.
I
Yeah,
love this project. I love this project, and I gotta say, every time I see, videos and images from that, it looks like so perfectly perfect for this audience. And I'm sure that it fills you up with so much, yeah.
It does, because a lot of what that is about is building, very much on topic for today, is building relationships and how that can really help you in life and in business. I feel, and my reasoning behind it really is because I know that the relationships that I've had in my life with friends, with family, has really enriched my life. They have really enriched my life, and I wouldn't be the person I am without that type of support. And so if I can in some way cultivate that kind of network, that kind of ecosystem and support system, then I feel like I'm doing something worthwhile.
Yeah, and actually, this is something I just thought about right now when we talked about relationships and how important it is, to your personal and business development. What about people who don't really have many friends or many relationships, or they move to a different state, or uh, they don't work the same place for years, so they have the workplace friends and all that, or they're just really introverts?
The reality is that as we grow up, it can be harder and harder to develop and also maintain strong relationships, especially for someone who moves from another country or another state or another city. Often we are stuck to some extent with the people that we work with, or maybe like our roommate if we're moving to a major city. Like in New York, everybody lives with somebody else. And same thing with LA in most cases, and at major cities. So like you're either like surrounded by your coworkers or your roommates, or maybe you have a significant other and their friends. It can be really hard to maintain and develop friendships as you get older. And so, excuse me, that's actually one of the reasons as well that I developed Babes Do Brunch Club, because I grew up in New York, so I had a lot of roots in New York. I had my friends from childhood, and I still had a lot of people around me that have seen me through all stages of life. Whereas a lot of people that I know didn't have those kind of roots. They didn't have that kind of connection to the city. And so I thought it'd be really nice to create an environment, a community of people who could just come together. A lot of people come by themselves.
So I'm more of a B2B
Right.
consultant and coach, and I work with companies and business people. And we found out that when you talk about social media and when you talk about content, the realness and authenticity is pretty much the same. And when you talk about B2B and B2C, I always say that even when you're B2B, let's say you sell SaaS, or let's say you sell hardware, you don't sell to a wall.
Right.
Your prospect is, let's say, IBM, but there's some human at the end of the line that will decide. So be human, show up as a human is really the same on both ends. Do you agree?
100%. At the end of the day, if you are a SaaS company, like, or you're a salesperson, you are a person who's representing a company, a big corporation, and you're trying to get IBM, that we think of as an entity, to buy or invest in your software. The reality is that there's a person on the other end that you have to convince to buy the software, and they have to, and they're representing IBM. And so I think we tend to forget that, like, companies are companies, but they're made up of people. So it really is, like, no matter what you're doing, whether it's B2B or B2C, like, often the thing that sets you apart is your humanness.
Yeah, yeah. And I remember the first days of social media, when after MySpace, because MySpace was very specific. I don't even know if you were born when
I was on MySpace. I was one of the first people on MySpace because I was an emo kid, but that's a story for another day.
Oh yeah, the emo was so strong that, I mean, wow, first days of MySpace,
you know?
it was amazing. It was amazing, but then they lost themselves a little bit instead of just focusing on what they really are. But to my point, I remember that when Facebook started, and it started with people, but then of course brands and companies started to have their pages and their presence on social media and Facebook. And I remember that Coca-Cola, one of the biggest brands in the world, their Facebook didn't really work. Their social media didn't really work. And I remember that all of us marketing people were like, really, hey, how come this brand so big? All of the people in the world know them, but it didn't really work for them. They didn't get engagement. Nobody really cared. And we found out that they were showing up like a company, not like a person.
Right.
And after a few years, they started to change their strategy on social media, and they have a very specific brand personality that this is what they present on their social media. And since then, their social media up the roof. You will see that that's a specific brand. It's very focused on who the brand is.
Right.
And what its personality. And people are just loving Coca-Cola's social media right now. And just like you said, you do business with people. It's not some company and a company, a wall and a wall. We will get to the days where a computer will make business and sales with other computer. But
yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I think, think about it. You have like refrigerators right now, or Alexa, that sends a shopping list to, the supermarket or to Amazon without you saying anything, and you just get the groceries from Amazon. So that's like totally computer to computer. There's no human involved.
Yeah.
And I think it will just grow in scale, but it will take just a few years. Now with COVID-19, when you can't go out to events and networking, and people are indoors, and it pretty much fucks up everyone's brain and way of thought. Would
Yeah.
you agree that showing up is super important?
Yes, I do think it's really important. I think, listen, if you have the capacity to, this is going to impact everybody differently, and everyone has different histories of mental health and things like that. So there are some people who really need to just relax during this time, and that's fine. If you are watching this, then chances are that you have some sort of mental capacity to focus on business or to focus on developing yourself further. And so if you have that energy and you have the capacity to do that, then I would say continue to show up, because now more than ever, people are looking for distractions. They're looking to learn new things. A lot of people, they're learning to invest in themselves. You know, I know that there's a fear out there amongst business owners that if they show up, or if they expose their services or whatever, that they're in some way taking advantage of people. But the reality is that you can't sell anything to anyone who doesn't want to buy something from you.
Yeah.
So if you're showing up, the people who are going to continuously pay attention are the people who are interested in what you have to offer. And chances are that they want what it is that you have to offer. So by showing up, you're actually offering people a service. You're offering them a way to either learn or distract themselves at the very least. Like, there are people on Instagram that I follow, and I just follow them because they bring a little bit of, the same kind of enjoyment that they were bringing before COVID-19, they're bringing to my days now. And like, if they stop posting, I'd be disappointed, right? So, and I've bought from fellow entrepreneurs, and I am learning new things. And so there are plenty of people out there who want to see what you have to offer. So I'd encourage entrepreneurs and businesses to continue to show up at this time.
What is the best tip that you can give people that are like, I know I need to be more on social media, but I don't know how to do that? Or what's the best way to do that? What's your best tip for that?
Hire somebody.
Yeah.
It depends. Like, there's certain things that if you have the diligence to learn them yourself, then learn it yourself. But if there's something that's really keeping you stuck, that you cannot wrap your brain around, like it does not make sense to you, you really don't know how to do it, then invest in a course, invest in a coach. Like you were saying at the very beginning that everyone needs somebody, and I would say that's true. Like, the most successful people out there in the world have professionals helping them towards that success. I always use the analogy of an Olympic athlete. An Olympic athlete, once they get to the Olympics, doesn't fire their coach. On the contrary, they need a coach when they're training for the Olympics, during the Olympics, and after the Olympics. They don't only need a coach, but they need a chiropractor, a masseuse. Like, they need, it takes a lot to create something amazing. And so people who do it on their own, I mean, there's so many different roads to success. That being said, the quickest road to success is together. So finding people who can help you along your way, I think, would be the most valuable tip I can offer.
The amount of time that you save, not trying to figure out something that you don't know how to do, is amazing. Because all of a sudden you do have time to do what you're really good at. Don't do everything yourself, because you're actually sabotaging. But let's say I'm just starting right now. All of a sudden I find myself, and I need to be out there on social media or to promote my business now that it's going online.
So first things first is that there are a ton of free resources out there. So let's say you are a brick and mortar and you do want to go online. Well, I'm pretty sure, I'm almost positive eBay started this new course that's like free for people who need to move their businesses from brick and mortar to the online space. Shopify is also hosting tons of workshops that will teach you how to bring your physical store online. So there is almost no excuse at this point, because you can learn for free. Whereas like in the past, that might not have been so possible. There are also websites like Skillshare or Teachable, where you can sign up for a free trial probably, or like a very discounted rate, and like learn how to do a whole bunch of shit. So, and then there's also YouTube University. Like, if you don't have the budget and you don't have the resources and it's not business as usual for you and you don't have money saved, whatever your circumstances are, and you need to do things for free, you can find anything and everything, and now you have nothing but the time to do it, right? So
there are no excuses anymore.
There aren't. No, again, like if you have the energy, like the mental energy and the emotional energy to do it, then there really are no excuses, because now everything is free or discounted in a way, you know, or at least there is information out there that's free and discounted that you can at least start with. So that would be my advice, is there are so many different ways to get that kind of information and study your way to success right now, to pivot. You know, if you are one of those brands or businesses that have been resistant to social media, now is the time to start, because so we were talking about Coca-Cola being one of the biggest brands, right? People will still probably go to the grocery store and buy their Coca-Cola if they're diehard Coca-Cola fans, and that's part of their, you know, their daily ritual is that they drink a cup of Coca-Cola, right? So they're going to go out and they're going to buy it. But there are a lot of brands that are like somewhere in the middle where they don't have such a strong, you know, presence or a strong loyal fan base. And then there's also like local brands. So I actually think that local brands in many cases can have more advantage than those like middle brands, you know? So it's like the big corporations, with a loyal fan base, and then like small local brands, because the people who have been buying from you up until now will likely rally behind you. They'll, you know, if you have like even if it's a small base, like a fan base, like in your community, people will show up for you in a way, right? So you can actually really leverage that. And the best way to do that is through the internet, is through your social media presence, is through creating an online store if that's a viable option, if it's necessary, or even like creating a blog, you know, and like getting your information, just spreading the awareness of your brand right now. Because even if like sales are a bit lower now, which they don't have to be, I know a lot of people who are experiencing massive success that are small businesses, but they will pick up. And when people start getting a paycheck again, who's going to be top of mind? The people that they didn't hear from, or the person whose blog they read on a daily basis, or newsletter they read on a daily basis. So if you've been resistant to getting on the internet, like now is the time to just rip the Band-Aid off and just start somehow.
So true, so true. And there's a huge advantage of being small.
There is, actually.
Huge. Mainly if you're local, it helps with focusing and differentiation. And this just, when you're focused and you find your differentiation and you have your community and it's by location, and
Right.
you're small, you can have more one-on-one, you can be more emotional and straightforward, and that's huge. So you can,
Yeah, and also people care because they feel like what's the word like connected. I can't think of the word that I'm looking for, but they feel connected to your brand or your business, and so they're more likely to show out for you. Even if they can't buy, they'll share with their friends, or they'll repost your stuff on social media. Like I've seen so much of that happening on like Instagram, Facebook, just like sharing other people's content and or like services or gift cards just to show up and show support.
It has to do a lot with your brand story. And you mentioned storytelling before. A lot of people don't get the whole storytelling through content.
Right.
How would you go about that?
So something I want to touch upon real quick is just to backtrack about how Coca-Cola has a personality now. It just brought up thoughts for me about how they do that through positioning certain people in their advertisements, like as spokespersons. Nike does the same thing. Nike has all of these different athletes. They also have like this like huge women's empowerment message going on about like in their brand, because they have all of these very strong, successful athletes as their spokesperson. So even Coca-Cola is storytelling in a way, and this is the rise of the influencer. This is the rise of, you know, influencer marketing, is because brands can now utilize someone else's story to tell about who they are. So it is storytelling, but it's like borrowing someone else's story to represent their brand, to create a persona, to create a personality. And so so what is storytelling? Storytelling is, let's say for personal brands like mine, or for someone who's a service-based business, it's who are you? Why are you unique to your, you know, the people in your, what's the word that I'm looking for?
Community?
No, not community, but like I don't want to use the word competitors. I try and cut that out of my vocabulary. But like the people who are doing similar, yeah.
Wait. Why? Competition is good.
I think because just like I think the way that I think about something, so I'll use an analogy. Let's say makeup. So
Yeah.
I might use MAC, but I might also use NARS, but I might also buy from Beauty Counter. So they're all technically competitors because they are all within the same industry. They're in the beauty industry. That was the word that I'm looking for, industry.
But they're not the same brand.
But they're not, no, they're very different.
Don't have the same brand. They're totally different.
What I'm saying, instead of calling them competitors, they all exist in my makeup bag, right? So like, I don't like to use the word competition because I think that we can all coexist. What I was going to say is storytelling is really about identifying why you're unique to the other people in your industry. And so what is it about you that's going to attract people to what you're offering? Because chances are what you're offering is not that different or groundbreaking compared to what other industry leaders are offering.
Correct.
It doesn't have to be big things. It can be big things. It can be things like accolades and awards. You know, it can be your degree or the school that you went to. It can be these like more external validation factors, but they can also be simple things like, what was your childhood like? Or do you have a really unique name? Or is the background from where you came from, is that unique about you? So identifying what sets you apart is really a big element.
Focus on that and use that for your storytelling and your content and your reason why.
Correct.
Yeah, I think why is such an important question. Why do you do what you do, and why they should buy from you?
That's right.
Awesome. It was lovely as always.
It's always lovely, Dino.
And I'm sure that we'll talk soon again. And thank you again for your time and being here with me. And I'll see you shortly.
All right. Thanks so much. Have a good one.
You too.